All right, good evening. I will now call to order the Monday, March 3rd, 2025 regular town council meeting. If you would, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, up first on the agenda is the approval of the February 3rd, 2025 Town Council meeting memoranda. A copy has been posted. Are there questions or comments from councilors? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I got a first from Councilor Norris, second from Councilor Melton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is the approval of the February 2025 payroll claims. Are there questions from councilors? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I have a first from Councilor Stein, a second from Vice President Burke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is the approval of the March 3rd, 2025 claims. Are there questions from councilors? If none, I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
A second from Councilor Melton. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, moving on to next item on the agenda is a request to speak. I have 2 of them up here. Amy, do you have any others?
No, just those 2.
Okay. As a reminder for those folks for the request to speak, we have a 3-minute limit for requests to speak, and I will give you notice when you are at 2 minutes, so you'll have 1 minute remaining. And we'll go in order here. So the first one I have is Stacy Collins, and if you would, when you come to the mic, just state your name and address for the record, and then we will start the clock when you're done.
I'm Stacy Collins, and my address is 3128 Grandview Way in Westfield, 46074. Good evening, council members. I serve as the executive director of Breathe Easy Hamilton County, an agency funded by the Indiana Department of Health dedicated to reducing tobacco use and protecting public health. While I don't live or work in Zionsville, I do spend time here as a visitor, and my work extends throughout central Indiana. I'm here tonight because the decisions made in this room impact Zionsville and set an example for the entire region. Zionsville, one of the top 3 healthiest towns in the state, has long been a leader in public health. Boone County was one of the first in Indiana to implement a comprehensive countywide smoking ban, recognizing early on that clean air is a basic necessity, not a luxury. That decision, made years before some of the state's most populated areas even considered similar action, showed true foresight, leadership, and commitment to the well-being of residents and businesses alike. And make no mistake, other communities are watching Zionsville. Many neighboring communities consider Zionsville a model for forward-thinking, health-conscious policy. This isn't just about one cigar lounge. This is about whether Zionsville remains a leader or starts to reverse its progress. Even with restrictions, allowing an exemption for cigar bans weakens these strong protections. It risks undermining the leadership this community has developed and sets a precedent for more rollbacks. Instead of leading, Zionsville could be seen as wavering, and that's not the reputation that this town deserves. I understand the economic argument. Business growth is essential, and everyone wants to see Zionsville thrive. But the truth is, strong smoke-free laws do not hurt local economies, but only enhance them. Multiple studies have confirmed no negative economic impact within communities that have enacted smoking ordinances similar to those in Zionsville. Cities and counties with strict smoke-free policies continue to see thriving restaurants, bars, and tourism without compromising public health. A cigar bar exemption isn't economic progress, it's a step backward under the guise of business opportunity. So tonight, please consider the short-term decision and the long-term impact. Protect the strong, healthy foundation that Zionsville has built. Continue to be the leaders that communities look up to. Work together to ensure Zionsville remains a model for progress, not reversal. I urge this council to vote no on Ordinance 2025-05, which would amend Zionsville's strong smoke-free air law. I thank the council for its time, leadership, and continued commitment to a healthier Indiana.
Thank you, Stacy. Up next, we have Taylor Williams.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Taylor Williams, and I represent the American Lung Association of Indiana. I reside at 102 South Main Street in Sheridan, and I'm here to testify against ordinance number 2025-05, an ordinance to amend Zionsville strong smoke-free air law. Our concern is that you are normalizing smoking indoors and exempting the Wheelhouse Social Club by allowing them to smoke cigars indoors. Folks normally say, oh, it's just cigars. It's just to celebrate. It's just a cigar. But it's not just cigars. It normalizes the behavior and myth that cigar smoking must not be as bad for you as smoking other tobacco products. That is not the case. Secondhand cigar smoke contains the same toxic chemicals that secondhand cigarette smoke does. Cigars are just depicted as exclusive, but they're not. It harms the message that all tobacco products are dangerous. Across the country, the increasingly well-organized cigar industry has been pushing for cigar bar/lounge exemptions in strong local and state smoke-free laws, peeling back life-saving protections designed to maintain indoor smoking and boost industry profits, all while putting workers at risk. I'm going to read you the verbiage of the first thing you see when you visit the website of the business being exempted by this ordinance. Wheelhouse is an incomparable gathering place with world-class social amenities, exclusive experiences, and the ability to enhance your network. For those that join, Wheelhouse will provide an experience unlike any other. To provide this world-class service will require world-class employees who will then be harmed by secondhand smoke on the job as well. Don't forget about the workers. This just doesn't fit in with what the town of Zionsville claims to represent. I want to remind you, when you passed the original ordinance, you made a promise to the community that you prioritize protecting citizens, and now you're breaking that promise. This exemption normalizes that people who are affluent enough to join this club aren't at risk of cancer or diseases caused by secondhand smoke, but those deadly diseases know no socioeconomic bounds. I urge this council to protect and keep your comprehensive smoke-free air law and not allow this establishment to smoke indoors. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to old business, the first item of old business is a consideration of an ordinance to amend the duties of deputy mayor. This is ordinance 2025-02. This is the final reading, and we have Deputy Mayor Justin Hage with us this evening to present.
Thank you, President Plunkett. As you mentioned, this ordinance is a second reading of a ordinance was brought at the last meeting after some helpful questions and discussion, both at this meeting and in the interim with Councilor Melton and some other councilors. This has been amended to reflect, as opposed to the creation of a new department, rather to amend the duties of the deputy mayor such that oversight of economic development is within those responsibilities, and that also the new role, the economic development project manager, will also report to the deputy mayor. Again, I think as we discussed in this meeting last time, the goal and the intention, I think, would be to have a Department of Economic Development when the town is ready and when the administration and the council have both come to an agreement that that's a important new department to create to really address economic development in our town. But as an interim solution, having these responsibilities be part of the responsibilities of the deputy mayor, I think is the next best way to accomplish this goal. We also did clarify, in consultation with legal counsel for town council, that this is not a department head per that definition in the reorganization documents. That this position, the Economic Development Project Manager, will be part of the Department of Administration. And then lastly, I think that we took this opportunity to remove some references to town manager that are in the town code just for clarity purposes. So again, this takes what is an existing Chapter 31, Section 31.03, and adds the Economic Development Oversight duties, and then removes that section, Chapter 31, Section 31.02, which has those town manager references in it. So happy to take any questions.
I know following the last meeting, there certainly was a lot of feedback and back and forth. I appreciate the work that you put into this. Mr. Oberlander, Mayor Stair, Heather, appreciate everybody's input here. Are there any questions from council for Deputy Mayor Hage? Having none, I would move to approve ordinance 2025-02 on final reading.
Second.
I have a second from Counselor Sampson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next on the agenda, consideration of an ordinance amending the 2025 salary ordinance for Economic Development Project Manager, ordinance 2025-03. This is also a final reading. Deputy Mayor Hayes for this as well.
Thank you, President Plunkett. As mentioned, this is a second reading, and the amendment that is reflected in this version is twofold. One is the title is now Economic Development Project Manager, and the second is that this position will fall under the Department of Administration, as I just mentioned, relative to the previous ordinance. And besides that, it's relatively straightforward, just required a change to the salary ordinance whenever we have a new title. No net financial impact from this move. So happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Deputy Mayor Hage? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
First from Counselor Melton, second from Counselor Sampson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next on the agenda is a consideration of an ordinance amending the smoking ordinance specific to cigar bar. This is ordinance 2025-05. This is also a final reading. I would just like to read to council similar to what I shared last time. As you all know, we currently have an ordinance that carves out some exceptions for smoking. Those exceptions include hotel, motel rooms, designated smoking areas, nursing homes, long-term care facilities, which residents may, only residents may smoke, and in private residence as well. This ordinance seeks to allow an exception for a private membership paid club/cigar lounge as defined in Town Code Title 9, Chapter 93. This ordinance requires specific enclosures and separate ventilation systems to exhaust air separately from non-smoking areas of the private club. Further, this ordinance goes on to restrict the use of any other tobacco products, only allowing for cigars as defined as a roll of tobacco that has a wrapper or cover consisting only of tobacco. This would restrict hookah, cigarettes, and vaping, and continues this council and councils before us in a longstanding commitment of comprehensive smoking bans for the town of Zionsville. I want to reiterate that this ordinance does not change our current smoking status for the current bars and restaurants. You cannot smoke in bars and restaurants in the town of Zionsville should this ordinance pass. I want to thank the counselors who offered their solutions for this ordinance to help get us to this point and make this ordinance incredibly narrow, as well as those recommendations offered by the public. With that being said, if there are any questions from counselors?
No questions. I thank Stacy and Taylor for attending. Appreciate your commentary. I do think there are negative health consequences if we were to pass this bill, but I also appreciate that it's been as narrowly defined as it can in terms of meeting those objectives. I'll be voting no, but I do worry that it normalizes cigar smoking and tobacco smoking in general.
Anything else from counselors?
I do appreciate you both coming here. One of my least favorite things when I was in the audience was that people would stand up here and express their heartfelt thoughts, and for then the council to not acknowledge you. So I'm glad Brad did, and I want to acknowledge you as well. I'm not a smoker. I've never been a smoker. I do have to say that it helped me with how we narrowed down a lot of the process. It was much broader when it started, so it was good work on our lawyers, and Jason stepped in there, and I am going to be voting yes, but with a heavy heart, because I do want people to remember the health problems that come with smoking, but as adults, people are rightfully so able to make their own choices, and that is why I'm going to be voting yes.
Anything else from counselors?
President Plunkett, I was just going to mention to the council too, just so in the definition, when we talk about cigar lounge, it's also referencing back that you still have to be licensed by the Alcohol Tobacco Commission, and there are specific rules and requirements for cigar lounges in state statute, so those would also apply to the cigar lounges here. We just have the opportunity to be more restrictive than state statute.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from counselors? Otherwise, I would move to approve ordinance 2025 on final reading.
Second.
I have a second from Counselor Stein. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
No.
Aye.
Motion passes 4 in favor, 2 opposed. Up next on the agenda for first item of new business is a consideration of a resolution regarding the appropriation of additional funds. This is for Economic Development Project Manager, Inglenook Appropriations. This is Resolution 2025-02. This is a resolution, so there will just be one vote on this. We have Cindy Poor, Director of Finance and Records, here to speak on this.
Good evening.
Cindy.
So with the resolution in front of you, with the changes of the Economic Development Project Manager and not moving forward with the new department, we are asking for an additional to put funds into the administration lines to compensate for that additional employee going in there. One thing that I do want to point out is on page 2 of your resolution, there will be a de-appropriation from the planning department. So technically, the money going into the administration department is not new money. We are taking it from the planning department budget and moving it to the administration budget to cover the expenses of that employee that's making the move. Also, you have 4 items for the ARPA money. These were miscellaneous items that correspond with the approved amended ARPA plan that was approved at the end of last year, I believe in November. We had a few items, departments that didn't utilize all their funds, and so we had to appropriate those in order to spend those down. The other item we have is the CCD contractual services. This is for Inglenook. The amount is $200,000. $25,000 of that will be reimbursed by the county, but we do have to appropriate it to spend it, even though we're getting some of that back. And then the food and beverage promotions additional are it's for the AED for the Zionsville Youth Football League. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Cindy. Are there any questions from counselors for Cindy?
Cindy, everything looks good. Can you tell me what the process looks like to get that $25,000 back from the county? I mean, do we have to file for it? What do you guys have to do to get that?
I do not know what the process is, but I believe Lance, the director of DPW does, or Evan, do
Counselor
you know?
Norris has been
Okay,
Yeah,
involved
okay.
in this as well.
I kind of led the charge on this, so
Okay,
I'm happy
good.
to take it over.
You go
from
right
here.
ahead.
So my understanding is the $25,000 was appropriated before December 31st of 2024. Those funds have been encumbered through the county council for their approval, and then I think once we make the request, those will be paid out to us. Remember, we had to encumber the ARPA funds before the end of the year. And if I can, I can just touch on Inglenook real quick, just for everyone. So when I was approached last summer by the members of the board of Inglenook who are here today, specifically Ms. Barbara Hudson and Gwen Doyle, about a situation in their neighborhood regarding some permeable paver systems and a developer that was backing out of their obligation to put in this necessary infrastructure. We've had several meetings since then about the status of that neighborhood. I mean, a lot of meetings, a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails. The HOA has exhausted all of the avenues, in my opinion, that they can for recourse against the developer to finish out this project. A permeable paver system is not cheap whatsoever. It's very expensive. It's not like just putting in blacktop. So, and to me, this raises serious issues and concerns, and that's why I'm asking for your all's vote in support tonight. These people can't get in their garages. We cannot get emergency vehicles down the alleyways to this neighborhood. And basically these people are left without any sort of recourse other than paying hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket. and they're basically at their wits' end, and they came to us for help. So we've worked very closely with John Oberlander and their attorney as well, the HOA's attorney, to sort of iron this out. I want to personally thank President Plunkett and Councilor Melton for attending those meetings with me and being another sounding board and a voice of support in those meetings. I also want to thank the mayor and Lance for all of their efforts in helping push this along. And also with us tonight is Commissioner Byers, who is sitting in the back there. Commissioner Byers helped put through and push through the $25,000 contribution to help offset some of the costs for these neighbors. And I want to thank the Boone County Council as well for approving that money. And then I told him I would say it, but Tim isn't here tonight, Tim McGilliberry, but he also told me that he's in full support of this as well. So thanks for letting me get on my soapbox.
All right. Any questions for Cindy? This is a public hearing. I have proof of publication of the public hearing. At this point, I will open the public hearing. If there's any members of the public who would like to speak, seeing none, I will close the hearing. I would reiterate a lot of the support comments from Councilor Norris, but also just point out that he did lead the charge on this and was very helpful, and so I appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, again, this is resolution, so this would be a one-vote approval, and I would entertain a motion at this time.
I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-02.
Second.
I have a first from Councilor Norris, a second from Councilor Melton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is a consideration of an ordinance regarding parks rules update. This is ordinance 2025-07. This is a first reading. And should there be questions, we have Mayor Stair here certainly this evening. Good evening, Mayor Stair.
Good evening. Yes, I think the ordinance is pretty self-explanatory. This is something that the Parks Department does on a regular basis, semi-regular basis, when things come up, for example, drone operations and horses in the parks and all that kind of thing. And what we're doing is seeking to put this in the town code, which gives our police department the ability to enforce them as code violations rather than simple trespassing or something like that. So this is, again, I think pretty self-explanatory, and if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I just thought it would be a good time to point out to the general public who might watch this about how drones are not allowed to launch or land in our parks.
Correct.
I think that's important because I don't know if everybody watches both the Parks Board and this, and that was a big change that was voted on.
There is reference to the DORA, and if you could refresh my memory, I think the parks are not part of the DORA, but we can do special events. Is that correct?
That is correct, and the park in Creekside that's park property, the trail through Creekside, that is in the DORA.
Okay.
But there is no other parkland that's in the DORA on a regular basis.
Are there any other questions for Mayor Stair? I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve ordinance, is this first reading? Or?
Yeah, introduce, yep.
Sorry, move to introduce ordinance 2025-07.
I'll second that. So first from Councilor Stein, second from President Plunkett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you. Up next is a consideration of ordinance amending the crosswalk ordinance. This is ordinance 2025-08, and we have Mayor Stair here for this as well.
Yeah, this is an amendment to the town code to allow the mayor to approve crosswalks in public safety zones when in the best interest of pedestrian safety. Now, the current procedure is to identify areas that need a safety enhancement, and that generally begins with the Pathways Committee or with a citizen petition. The Department of Public Works then takes a data-driven approach to study the need, and when such a need is deemed warranted, the DPW makes a recommendation to establish a safety zone. Now, in the last 6 years, we have had 4 crossings that have been established at Oak Ridge Drive and 975 East, Ford Road and Starkey near Thornhill, at 5th and Oak, and at Colony Square and Whitestown Road. All of those were unanimously approved by the council upon DPW's presentation of its supporting data. So we are not proposing any changes to the process. Any new pedestrian safety zones will be established only when the data shows that it's warranted. It just makes the final approval process more efficient by not making it subject to waiting to get on a council agenda for approval. So it would become an administrative checkoff after the DPW has done its due diligence in this process.
Any questions for Mayor Stair?
Not a question, but I just want to vocalize my support. The Pathways Committee has met several times with Lance in the last few years. He's been kind enough to come after hours and attend our meetings, and I really appreciate that. I feel like this is going to kind of streamline the process. It still gives the Pathways Committee the ability to kind of touch on the topic and understand and hear from the public, but it also, I think it's going to streamline the actionable items with regards to the actual safety zone. And I'm in support of this, and I appreciate Lance's time as well as Mayor Stair's time on this issue.
So I always try to play the game of what happens when it's not John Stair, when it's not Lance. Since it becomes like it's our law here, so it can't be pertaining to the people that are actively doing it. It should be what could be carried forward as well. And I'd kind of expressed to a few of you, if there's some sort of financial limitation on crosswalks, because while they seem pretty simple, they're not actually cheap, right? They cost what, like $85,000? No?
Well, it's totally dependent on the circumstances.
Okay. So,
Sometimes they can just be lines painted on the ground, or sometimes you need traffic signals and all that.
so I didn't know if there was some limitation that we would want to add to this, some sort of up to 3 a year, or
think
or
they're
a
still gonna-
sunset with each mayor, like, I don't know.
They're still going to have to find the money.
Right.
And we're going to have to either see it in a budget or they have money. You know, they have different buckets of money to be able to do this. But I think one of the bigger concerns that, like, the Pathways Committee, and I think the overall concern is when you take a thoroughfare and then you add a new system to that, a crosswalk, you know, it's dangerous. That's why it's a big deal to be able to do a mid-block crosswalk. And I think that's the major part of it. But the financial part, I agree with your thought on that. You don't want to just give the opportunity to the mayor to say, there's a crosswalk. And that's not what I believe is going to happen with this new
Right.
process. There's a detailed process, 3 parts specifically, to how Lance and his team is going to evaluate these. And it's going to start with, you know, it comes from the public initially, I think. That's kind of where I see them stemming from the last 4 years, or the last 4 that we've done. It's not been necessarily a DPW, like, we're going to do this. So from a financial standpoint, it's not like they're going to just start doling them out. There's a process, and it's a technical review. And, you know, I think that review has been really important as we move forward, because it does change the traffic flow potentially.
Right.
And it can cause, you know, it can be dangerous doing this. So I think keeping it in the DPW's purview is very important.
I guess I would just add, we've had a few of these on my first term, and one we just passed, 2 months ago. Admittedly, some of these come from council. Council members bring these forward, which I think that's still a path, right? We can still bring those forward. But when we get into the details of how DPW handles all of these assessments and what they bring to us, we would never approve these without those studies and their recommendation. And so, I don't know, I hear you, but I feel like we're not giving up a whole lot, because we can still make the case, and then they're going to do all the work on the back end. And if it's not something that they feel like they would bring to us, then they're not going to. If they do, but I just don't know that we've ever approved one that, you know, without their guidance, and I don't know that we would ever deny one if they brought us forward and said this is a good idea. So I don't know that we're really losing any real authority.
Right, I was just trying to think if there's any, you know, way that this would come back to bite us. Like, what would be the financial part of it? Because that's our role with this. And it would just more be, could contracts be completed and then we're asked to sign off on claims and we're wondering where the money's going? And, you know, that sort of thing. That's all I was trying to make sure that it's kind of like giving, because a lot of crosswalks aren't budgeted for 12 months from now, right? They come up as the year is going. So then it starts becoming more of a flexible, where's that fund coming from to pay for it? Or if there's an immediate need for it, where's the money? What slush fund? Or, you know, like,
Yeah.
where is it coming from?
I think it'd be a good idea to kind of have a proactive approach where we already know, like, next year, these are the 2 crosswalks we're going to be looking at, as opposed to it came up and I hear what you're saying.
Kind of being in the process of the budget process, I don't know. I mean, Lance, do you have ideas of, just for playing this out, do you have ideas of where we might do crosswalks in the next 12 months that you could put into the budget in August?
Yeah, a presentation that some of you who've been on the council for a longer time probably saw when we initiated this process back in 2021, 2020, was to take the aggressive approach of potentially up to 2 locations to study each year. And obviously what the mayor said with that count, we've kind of more fell to the 1-ish per year. Now, most of these, I should say all of these to date, so far have all been done in-house. We're budgeted each year for sidewalk repair, curb ramp repair, sign replacements, those types of things. And we've got these down to the point where they're pretty inexpensive to do. The flashing signals cost about $8,200. So if there are sidewalk modifications, curb ramp modifications, we need to make those anyway, because those would already be an ADA deficiency, so we would just be replacing those as a matter of course. So we also self-install, we self-perform everything, so while the first crosswalk at 5th and Oak was done a number of years ago, and that ran like $11,000 over 10 years ago, we're down at the $8,000, and we just buy the flashers out of our sign budget, and we install them ourselves.
Okay. I think I heard 80 instead of 8, so there you go.
I was going to say
Thank you.
drop a 0.
I know,
It's
drop
not
the 0. All right, well, that makes me feel better that it's not coming from just anywhere. He has an account, a balance that he could pull from even as the year goes. Okay.
Any other questions from counselors? This is a first reading of ordinance 2025-08. At this point, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-08.
Second.
Those are motions to introduce.
Excuse me. I will make a motion to introduce
Do we need to
ordinance.
withdraw that
Yes.
motion?
I will withdraw my previous motion. I will make a motion to introduce ordinance 2025-08 on first reading.
Second.
I have a first from Counselor Norris, a second from Counselor Melton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next on the agenda is other matters. I just want to take a quick moment to congratulate Counselor Evan Norris for his election to the County Republican Party Central Committee this weekend. I've served in the capacity as vice chair for the last 18 months, and I know Evan has what it takes to do it, and he'll do an incredible job for our county. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, any other matters from counselors? Otherwise, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second from Vice President Burke. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed. The next regular town council meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 17, 2025 at 7:30 a.m. in the Zionsville Town Hall Council Chambers. Final notice will be posted in compliance with the Indiana Open Door Law. Thank you.